أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Beloved Huzur, respected Amir Sahib USA Chair, respected guests of Jalsa Salana, and dear viewers all around the world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Today I've been given the opportunity to discuss a topic that many of us are concerned by, and that is how to guard against the negative trends of the contemporary age. In this contemporary age, mankind has seen great advancements in all secular fields. Distances have been reduced through modern means of travel and through electronic and digital communication, such as telephone, radio, television, the internet, and now further advances in the AI. The entire world has become linked in a way that has never seen before in the history of mankind. Although the world has become connected, mankind has drifted further away from one another and indeed from their creator. This advance in technology has led to an increase in many social evils such as political, economic corruption, immorality, and social injustice. These negative trends are not only affecting our present, but are also likely to corrupt our future as well. The single most important problem of today's world is the absence of peace. Man is not happy and content, and there is growing restlessness, fear, premonition, lack of trust in the future, and a dissatisfaction in one's heritage. As Muslims, we are warned of such a time. Allah the Almighty stated in the Holy Quran, "We bring to witness that age when a man as a whole would be in the state of loss, except for those few who believe and do good deeds and exhort others with truth to accept truth, and admonish others with patience to be patient." From these verses, we are told that the true peace and happiness will only be bestowed upon those who strive towards good deeds and keep connection with their Creator. Allah has placed great emphasis in the Holy Quran on Hukukul Abad, the rights of the creation, and Hukukul Allah, the rights of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ states, the main commandment of the Holy Quran are two. One is the unity of God and the love and obedience to the Almighty Creator, who possesses great attributes. And secondly, kindness towards one's brothers and mankind. However, when our pursuit in life is to make profit, pursuing pleasure, and obtaining position, it leaves little time and energy and ability to focus on the goal set by Allah the Almighty. Our society has become engulfed by the me culture. A recent survey published in the Psychological Science suggests that people across the globe are becoming more individualistic over time. Social media, whilst it's connecting us to one another, can make one self-centered, and as people strive to make their presence known, much of the social media is all about me. Individualism fuels a me-first attitude and makes it difficult for people to recognize the struggles of those who are less fortunate, to embrace self-sacrifice for collective good. Another concern is the lack of cooperation. We are already seeing that in our polarized political system, where people and parties with opposing views are unable to work together to solve problems, many believe that this is what is potentially leading our world into a pre-world war state as we barrel headfirst towards World War III, and Hazuriana has been warning us of this consequence on numerous occasions. This individualism is stirred by many other factors. One of the most prevalent trends to corrupt society today is materialism. Many are ignorant to the consequences of material excess. It is associated with lower levels of well-being, such as a lack of social interaction, more environmental waste, destruction, and poor academic outcomes. It also is associated with more spending, problems, and debt. A recent survey conducted by Baylor University found that individuals who are more materialistic have lower levels of life satisfaction and were more likely to be depressed. The study also revealed that the rates of teenage depression began to rise from 2012, when young children began accessing social media more frequently. In turn, it has radically transformed the nature of peer relationships, family relationships, and daily activities. This is because materialism is now so largely driven by the excessive use of social media platforms like Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, which heavily influences users to aspire to unattainable standards of beauty, wealth, standards that are, in truth, completely detached from the real world. Many young people preach about the positive uses of social media, and yes, there are certain instances where positive communication can find mutual space to share like-minded views. We have seen this recently through the conflicts of Gaza and Ukraine. The world has used these platforms to stand up against the atrocities being carried out against innocent civilians. However, as social media platforms are so vast, it is easy for children to fall vulnerable to material beyond their understanding, and it also risks feeding them with misinformation and radicalization. Bill Gates, one of the most influential tech leaders in the world, stated that he limited how much technology his children could use at home. And in 2007, Gates implemented a cap on screen time when his daughter started developing an unhealthy attachment to video games. He also didn't let his children get mobile phones until they turned 14. Snapchat CEO Evan Spiegel confirmed in an interview with the Financial Times that he and his wife only grant an hour and a half of screen time per week for their children. During the interview, Spiegel also advised parents to cut down on their own screen time or explain what they were doing on their devices so the kids aren't looking at the back of a black phone with no idea what is going on. The second example speaks volumes about how we can and how we should approach our daily consumption of social media. Our beloved Hazur, Ayatollah ibn Sadiz, has repeatedly guided us on both how to avoid the negative traits of internet that can harm us and how to take advantage of material that can benefit us. During his meeting with Waqf-e-Nau from the girls in the United Kingdom, Hazur stated, and may I say, yesterday Hazur in the Lajna address covered this topic extremely well, and we should pay great heed to what Hazur Anwar mentioned yesterday in how we can become better as a society and human beings, and how we should work towards upbringing our children in this society. So I go back to the Waqf-e-Nau girls, Hazur stated, if you know that the negative usage of social media, then you should avoid such usage. It is a matter of temptation. A person is easily tempted, whereby they open a link and then they become interested, and then they open another link and so forth. The user doesn't think that the negative impact is having upon them. So the first time that you see something on social media that can potentially have a negative impact on you or others, immediately shut it down. Instead, visit those sites which increase your knowledge. For example, watch scientific or educational programs and documentaries, and read comments and articles by scientists and academics. Many parents have been advised to limit their children's screen time after studies have confirmed a rise in the cause of child grooming. And according to the NSPCC, 1 in 4 online grooming crimes in the last 5 years were against primary school children. 73% of crimes involve Snapchat and Meta. Many studies have shown that children are falling prey to predators online because they often neglected at home. I appreciate that many parents are now working full-time and struggle to create a work-life balance. However, in order to ensure your children grow up healthy and happy, parents must dedicate a good portion of their time to physical and academic and spiritual development of their children. So please bring your children regularly to the mosques to ensure that they are in good company. Take time to learn about their activities at school and build a friendship with them. The founder of our Jama'at, the Prophet ﷺ, paid particular attention to his children's upbringing. He would nurse them during sickness, console them for hours, tell them stories morally, and nurture them and friendly pray for them. There is a story that the Prophet ﷺ, which is the perfect example of good parenting. Once the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in a room on the roof of his house, and one of his companions, Hazrat Sayyid Fazl Saraha, was also there peeling almonds. Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmed, who was only about 4 or 5 years of age, entered the room and took all the almonds into his lap. The Prophet ﷺ was watching this, and he turned to his companion and said, "He is such a good child. He will not take all of the almonds. He will take only 1 or 2 and will put the rest back." And the child complied immediately and left with only 1 or 2 almonds. Regarding prayers, Hazrat Nawab Mubarak Begum Sahiba states, "When I was a young girl, Hazur would ask me many times to pray for one of his tasks. Such behavior encouraged the habit of praying in children and having their prayers accepted." And this is something that every parent can follow, this great example. What are we taking from this? In spite of the responsibilities of busy life, the Prophet ﷺ always prioritized his children's upbringing and never neglected to give them time. When children are neglected, they often fall victims to social and moral degradation. Another issue that is affecting our society today is the obsession with physical appearance and pornographic addiction. Although this is one of the many vices in society, it is significant because it's affecting the bedrock of our society, and that is the nuclear family unit. One of the reasons this addiction is so common is because it's easy to access this material. According to an article in the Time magazine, over 40% of children aged between 10 and 17 have been exposed to pornography online, many accidentally. The article discusses how these images demoralize and dehumanize men and women as nothing more than physical objects. Studies have also shown that watching such content again and again can lead a person to prefer it over intimacy with their partners and can cause problems in relationships and lead to tension. I have unfortunately come across this issue within our own community. Therefore, I encourage young people and parents alike to address this issue at home and discuss it, why it is so important to avoid such imagery. The exposure of such material takes away a child's innocence as well as hinder their natural and spiritual development. Therefore, they do not achieve a balance in their life, which is essential for stable matrimonial and home life. As I've mentioned before, you only need to look at the Holy Quran to learn that our religion teaches us that each relationship we hold in life earns a level of respect and dignity. In Islam, marriage is not restricted to platonic relationship between husband and wife, nor is solely for procreation. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated, when a man has married, he has completed one half of his religion. This is because marriage is meant to be a bond of intellectual, emotional, and spiritual fulfillment. As a community, we have been facing many issues regarding this matter. I'm approached by many parents looking for suitable partners for their children. When I ask them what are they looking for, often they focus on superficial elements. He should earn so much, he should have a house, and then for the girl, she should be beautiful with blue eyes, and that also they add that the person should be able to cook. This is as a result of their exposure to social media, which creates an unnatural environment and expectation away from reality. Sometimes there is never a word on how the child should have good moral compass, a good personality, a relationship with God. Parents often say to me, what can we do, Amir Sahib? This is what the child wants. And unfortunately, sometimes it's the parents who initiate these thoughts into the children. Taking advantage of this platform today, I would like to directly address children and young adults alike. You should not choose a life partner based on superficial elements such as wealth, beauty, because these two elements are forever changing. Whoever is beautiful today will grow old with age, and wealth can be lost in a second. So we should always go for good morals and righteousness. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu related that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there are 4 reasons for a man, which a man marries a woman: her wealth, her family background, her beauty, or her righteousness. You should, however, prefer righteous woman. May Allah bless you with a righteous wife. This hadith is also applicable to women who are looking for suitable husbands. A righteous partner will safeguard your home, will raise your children with high morals. As a result, you will inherit the blessings of both religion and the world. What survives and keeps a marriage together through all trials and tribulations is the good character and connection with Allah the Almighty. Another one of the major challenges for Muslim youth today is the influence of Western media on their mindset. This is because it challenges the suitability of Islam for so-called modern living. In order to discredit Islam, Western media portrays it as a medieval, aggressive religion. It is patriarchal and does not give equal rights to both genders. Therefore, it is unfit for the 21st century. This is the narrative that's been portrayed. Unfortunately, because of the lack of understanding of their own faith, our children, rather than defending Islam, become victims of this narrative. Therefore, in order to seek solace, they associate themselves with the so-called Western cultural values, which takes them away from morality, spirituality, and the development of their soul. Partly, the fault lies with the parents who are too busy in their lives, which comes at the expense of nurturing their children and bringing them up with spiritual values. The important thing is that unless we give inspiration through our personal example of honesty, integrity, piety, mere words that don't reflect in our own character are hollow and will not have any effect on the upbringing of our children. Recently in the UK, we found that not only our youth were being challenged by Western values, but they were also being misled by the so-called Muslim scholars promoting the anti-Ahmadiyya narrative. Because of the lack of understanding of their own faith, our children were becoming concerned by what they heard. Therefore, on the directive of Hazur Anwar, the Jama'at scholars began addressing this issue, raised in order to reassure our youth that they had been misinformed. This has proved very valuable for our children and young adults who were unsure about their own faith. Another project that we are undertaking to address concerns and fears of younger members is to respond to their concerns in an open forum, with no restrictions regarding the subject matter. This, in turn, will give them confidence of transparency and honesty. A further big challenge that we have is that the new generation feel that they have absolute knowledge and can have instant answers from Google search. What they fail to understand is that everything on Google is not necessarily authentic, and that factual, and for inexperienced mind, it can prove very damaging. When you challenge the children on certain views they hold, they immediately refer you to the Google search to verify the narrative. We know that the way Google works is through algorithms. Therefore, once a particular approach is taken in our search, then Google reinforces that narrative because they're not giving a balanced view. In turn, this makes the user less open to balanced narrative or arguments about the subject matter in question. One other important issue that parents need to address with their children is that of a digital footprint. Once anything is put on the internet, it will remain there forever and can be used against the individual later in life when they may not hold a similar view, but will always be tainted by it. The other challenge is the power of advertising. Through advertising, many are attracted to games, food, drink, which often are very unhealthy for their mind and body. The games often portray aggression, as well as killing and destruction, which desensitizes children to such violence and therefore leads to a lack of compassion, empathy, and understanding. Also, the current research is that overexposure to media can be addictive and has physical manifestations of rewiring the brains of young children. This results in a shorter attention span, and we are seeing that within our own households, when children are allowed to spend too much time in front of the screen. And this has now become a concern for national authorities. And in China, the government has put restrictions on the amount of time children can spend in front of a screen. And according to an article published in the BBC, it is quoted that schools in England have been given new guidance intended to stop the use of mobile phones during school day. And the reason for this action was to minimize disruption and improve behavior in classrooms. We are now seeing the impact of excessive phone use within young married couples because the short attention span and the lack of patience has caused great issues with communication. A recent example was brought to my attention when a young married couple was sitting together in a room, and rather than talking to each other, they were communicating through text. The question that arises here is, what tarbiyat are they going to do of their children when they themselves have gone off the track? So what is the solution? The first thing for the parents is to reform themselves. Hazur addressed this matter yesterday in his address to Lajna Mahalla, and I think he covered this extremely well, and we should listen to that address several times because it contained a lot of information. And he instructed us that we must go back to basic and truly Islamic principles within our homes and throughout our lives. He mentioned about reading 5 daily prayers regularly in congregation, also giving quality time to our children, both for their academic and spiritual development. Spend less time on social media, give more time to reading, playing, engaging with our children, developing a strong bond with them. Another offshoot issue brought about the excesses, reliance, and the use of social media and materialism in general is a weakened relationship between parents and children, particularly when the parents reach an old age. Allah the Almighty says in the Holy Quran, "The Lord has decreed that you worship none save Him alone and behave beneficially towards your parents. If either or both of them should attain old age whilst you're alive, say not enough to them, nor chide them, and speak kindly to them. Lower to them the wings of humility out of tenderness and prayer. Lord, have mercy upon them as they brought me up when I was little." These verses explain that after the unity of God, human beings should, through their attitude of love, affection, and kindness, give priority over all other things to the parents who've reached an old age and a difficult age. The sad truth today is the society deems parents as a burden. It has already begun to happen. In a report published in Independent 2019, it was confirmed that an American man took his frail father, who was suffering from dementia, on a flight from Los Angeles to the United Kingdom, where the father left his father at a bus station in Hereford with no way of anyone being able to trace his family, all to avoid having to pay for his care. In America, this has become a common phenomenon and has even been given a title, granny dumping. As strange as that title may sound, it is estimated that over 100,000 elderly Americans are being abandoned every year by relatives who are unable or unwilling to help look after them or pay for them in their care. And this is not only happening in the States, it's happening throughout the world. I appreciate that we are facing economic crisis. However, Islam teaches us that we should never abandon our responsibilities to our parents. If you are unable to provide for your parents financially, you can give them time, cook for them, provide what you can for them, and care for them as they did for you when you were young. It is reported that once Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked Allah, "O Allah, who will be my companion in paradise?" So Allah revealed to him that a butcher will be his companion in paradise. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was shocked and intrigued. He wanted to find out what was so special about this butcher, so that Allah directed him to shop in the market. He went and there found a young butcher working and serving his customers. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam stayed with the butcher until the end of the day, and the butcher closed his shop, put some meat in a small bag, and then began to walk home. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked the butcher if he could accompany him, and the butcher agreed. The butcher arrived home, and laying on a bed in this home, there was an elderly disabled woman. The butcher went to the kitchen, put the meat on to cook, and while the meat was cooking, he washed the old woman's face, changed her clothes, and combed her hair. And then he brought the food that he had cooked and fed it to the woman with his own hands until she was full. The butcher then lifted the woman back onto her bed, and as he did so, she whispered something in his ear, whereupon the man began to smile. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked the man, "Who is this woman, and what did she say to you to make you smile?" The butcher replied, "This is my mother. Whenever I do something for her, she says to me, 'My son, may Allah never cause your effects with me to pass unrewarded, and make you the companion of Musa, the son of Imran, in paradise.'" So you can see how much importance is given by Allah to looking after your parents. Our beloved Hazur Ayatollah ibn Aziz further elaborated on this matter during a Friday sermon delivered on January the 23rd, 2004, and Hazur stated, "The moral teaching of being kind towards one's relatives is identical for men and women without any distinction. By being kind towards one's family, the relationship between man and wife will also flourish, as both will be considerate towards the feelings of the other spouse. Such a family incurs the nearness of Allah, and the household will become an image of paradise on earth. Now, because of time, I'm going to skip something here. Even after providing evidence to the fact that those who do not follow religion often ask the question that since the world's education leads to good morals, what is the point of abiding by religion? It is said that morals can be instilled without any religious education. In fact, it is maintained that people who do not follow religion have better morals than the religious people, and in particular, this allegation is leveled at the followers of Islam. Huzur Anwar Ayatollah provided the answer delivered in Friday sermon on the April the 24th, 2015, and stated, "It's difficult to separate religious morality and man's material needs. A religious person cannot separate morality from religion, and he does not abandon the thought of having material needs. People also do need to follow religion, maintain that man needs good morals and material success. However, a true Muslim will maintain that man is also in need of religion because it takes man to God." Throughout my speech, I have mentioned several negative trends that are prevalent through our contemporary society. However, the solution to all these problems are deeply connected with Allah the Almighty and kindness towards mankind. The advent of the Promised Messiah has come at a time when the world most needs it. In accordance to the prophecy of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Messiah of the age will come when, despite its luminosity, the Quran teaching will have faded from people's hearts. We are very fortunate to have accepted the message of Islam Ahmadiyya. The blessed institution of Khilafat has carried the message of the Promised Islam to the 21st century. Our beloved Huzur continues to dedicate his life to the Jama'at, providing guidance and support when needed to help govern our negative trends of contemporary society. May Allah the Almighty continue to bless our beloved Huzur with good health, long life and prosperity. Ameen. Jazakallah.